Okay, so we're good, as I said.
A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David. And I'm half a minute, well, not quite half a minute late, but we are fascinated with the difference in the models between midnight tonight and 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll tell you why in a minute. We've had a horrible day here today, just grey and miserable and windy and the odd bit of rain. But the barometer is amazing, 9.6 and still plunging with that low to it's to our southwest at the moment, but moving across to the other low on the other side of the country. Oh, we've got 19 degrees, 5 knots. I don't know why it's only 5. There's a horrendous amount of wind out further, but it's 5 to 10 knots from the north here at the house. But I don't know. I really don't know why we're a little bit sheltered. The wind is slightly east of north. Maybe that's the reason. Anyway, it's 100% cloud cover, and we get the odd bit of rain, which we're going to get a lot more of overnight. So there's lots to talk about tonight from the weather perspective. 2 boats are actually leaving here tomorrow. I hope it settles down. Scoots and Papillon. David will be talking about the what's happening shortly, but first of all, I'm going to talk to Sahula. Lynn and David are on their way to Australia. Any copy, David or Lynn? Well, David's got a lot of weather for them, so I'm hoping that they're there. Sahula, Gulf Harbour. Nothing heard. I have their morning position, but I'll pass the microphone now, and we will look at, or David will look at, what's coming up. I know a lot of you are getting a little bit impatient, but anyway, it's still only May, and I know a lot are going to be leaving early June. And it's I'm going to say Queen's birthday, but it's King's birthday weekend coming up, and that's sort of like the dividing line. Here's David.
Well, good evening to those listening, and, well, particularly to Sabula, which is a shame that they're not on, because I've got about 2 minutes worth of stuff for them. Anyway, but by Friday, we'll just pretend that they're, say, at around 25 south and 163 east. We'll pretend that's where they are. So if that's the case, by tomorrow, they are going to be in the middle of a nice ridge that is part of the next high that's located in the Australian Bight. And this is not necessarily Sabula, that's just how things are going to be tomorrow. Now, this high is pretty strong. It's 1032 millibar, 1032 millibar. And if Sabula was listening, they could expect light southerly quadrant winds at about 10 to 15 knots. Now, Saturday, what happens is a polar dip takes place in that ridge, pretty much in the Bundaberg area, which is where they're going, as a matter of fact. So we'll call the axis of that dip 153 east. So those of you that don't know what a dip is, it's when the winds in a ridge that are going counterclockwise, they suddenly go south, and then they make a turn and they go north, and then they continue on counterclockwise. So that's a dip. And when that happens, 2 things occur. One, all the winds are going to back to become easterlies, and 2, the isobars compress. So a bit of a squash zone occurs with winds increasing to 15 to 20 knots, starting at about 157 east. Now, by Sunday, the squash eases with winds southeast 10 to 15. Thus, sailing looks pretty good between now and Monday. But Tuesday, the 3rd, that dip produces a small depression near 30 and 160 east. 130 and 160.60. So winds near coastal Bundaberg become westerlies. Westerlies 18 to 20. So that's on the nose. Expect, cloudy conditions with possible scattered showers, probable scattered showers. So that actually was Cebu's forecast. All right, let's look now at Fiji quickly. The forecast to 6 p.m. from now to Saturday, 6 p.m., calls for east to northeast winds, 10 to 15 knots. Then shifting Sunday to southeast, 15 to 20. So conditions are fair with moderate seas. Now moving over to Tongan coastal waters through tomorrow, we could expect light and variable northeasterly winds around 10 knots, and this includes the Minervas as well. And for Saturday, we see a wind shift, so expect east to southeasterly winds, still light, 10 knots or so. And for those planning to leave New Zealand this weekend, as I prepared this, I wasn't aware that a couple of boats were leaving before that. But if it was the weekend, conditions look decent for departure. But beware of Wednesday the 4th and Thursday the 5th, as a cold front runs from New Zealand right up toward Vanuatu, and winds en route to Fiji or Minerva turn north to northeast. In other words, pretty much on the nose. Now the front passes the dateline by around the 6th. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to the chief. But one thing I want to mention, when I was chatting with Scoots via email, the idea of this trip actually didn't look bad at that point, but the warning was out that models do change. And believe me, they do change and did change. So right now, what I just gave you is the current forecast, quite a bit different from what we looked at last week. So anyhow, that's what I see for those that are leaving by this weekend. Now, if you leave sooner, you might beat all of this. But there will be a front, and it will be, like I said, over New Zealand, straight up to Vanuatu. It'll include New Caledonia and some of the waters between Fiji and Vanuatu, fairly broad. So winds will be on the nose, north to northeast. And that front, still aggressive, passes again, I'll say it one more time, passes the dateline by around the 6th, and it keeps going. So with that, here's the chief.
Well, I can be quite happy at home on terra firma, knowing that I won't be dealing with that front. It's going to be a real stormy start to start with tomorrow, with those wind out there, and I presume the seas are going to be up. But if you want to go, you go and deal with it. This is Gulf Harbour Radio. I'll just put one more call out for Sahula. Sahula, Gulf Harbour. No, nothing heard. Is there anybody else wanting to make contact? Please call. Wow, it's a quiet night tonight, and certainly looking at that weather, boy, David and I will go back to comparing what I'm looking at on GFS, because that's what I get on my AIS, and what he's looking at for various days ahead. But if you are leaving, have a good trip, take plenty of bags, and we will be on air tomorrow night. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, and we are clear.